Welcome here to TalkFCB and welcome back to the channel today, guys. And of course, before we do get into a very, very important weekend, we are all excited to see Barca in action again. I just thought today what I would do is answer some of your questions, and I have received some really, really good ones. So today we are going to be addressing Ansu Fati, his injury situation right now, how his recovery is going, and when we could expect him back out on the field. And we're also going to discuss a really intriguing topic of Barca without Messi. How has the team setup changed without Leo? How and why are the dynamics very different? And we are going to be analysing those key differences. It is all coming up today. So let's get to it. But before we do get into all of that good stuff, one really important, I think, very simple question, but very, very important. Do you feel as though our form will be consistent now until the end of the season, especially given how things have gone in previous years? This question here was submitted on Sporting, and it's a good one, because honestly right now, we are all feeling a massive high. We're all feeling really, really good about our team. We're feeling like we turned a corner, like mentally, we're feeling a lot sharper and in a good place. But I think at the same time, we are always going to be cautious about getting too ahead of ourselves, about feeling too confident, given what has happened with previous Barcelona teams, with previous Barca coaches. And of course, there's always going to be that element of skepticism. And I think that's why right now, we've got to have that balance. I think on one side, we can definitely feel really good. We are definitely moving in the right direction. We've spoken before about the promise of this Barca team. We've spoken before about the progress that we are making. And we can be sure of that. We've seen evidence now of the fact we are coming through. A bad time that it was, but we're coming out of it. What we also have to acknowledge, though, is that we are still improving. There are still areas in this team that Xavi will want to address, that Xavi will want to improve, because that's the kind of coach that he is, and that's the exciting part, because Xavi won't just settle for very good, won't just settle here for a team who are doing well. He wants to be the best, and that is the way that we always want to think at Barca. We are moving well, we are doing the right things, but Xavi will still have it in his mind that this job, it's only just starting. There is still a long way to go. There's going to be bumps along the way. There's going to be highs. There's going to be lows. But we're going to be there. And it definitely will be an exciting journey. And I think speaking especially there about that good form, about the fact that Barca right now are moving forward, feeling good, and especially scoring goals. When we move on here to Ansu Fati, I think that's a big positive. I think the fact that right now, when you're thinking about Ansu's return, when you're thinking about the fact that we want to see him back, of course we do, it is very, very helpful, though, that right now without him, we are still doing okay. Because I think the last thing that you'd want here is a situation whereby we were desperate for Ansu Fati, whereby we were putting unnecessary pressure on him to get back in this team. We are not saying to him right now, come on, get fit, cut a few corners, we need you back in the team as soon as possible. We are right now having the luxury to say, okay, we're doing well, we're scoring goals, we have a lot of options there in our forward line, so now you make sure you 100% recover before you even think about returning. Because of course we all want to see him back. Of course we've all wanted to see him out there for the whole season for such a long time now. But we want him back for good. And that means taking the time and taking all of the necessary precautions to come back only when he's ready. Now, of course, Ansu suffered his latest relapse there on the 20th of January in that extra time against Athletic. It was absolutely heartbreaking when it happened, and then, of course, he opted not to undergo surgery on that problem. He wanted to recover in his own way, and also, of course, surrounded by his own medical team. Now, Ansu was always expected to return within 60 days of that injury against Athletic, which is kind of funny, because that timeline there almost perfectly aligns with the Clásico in March. That's going to happen there at the Bernabeu on March the 20th. But that's the key here, because Ansu Fati is going to be nowhere near that game. This is the point right now that I'm trying to make. Ansu may indeed want to get back towards that game, may indeed come back around that game, but he is not going to return in a high-intensity game like that, because after Real Madrid, then we got Sevilla. And I would also say Ansu should not be returning in that game either. We have to make sure here that when he comes back, when that time comes, you ease him into it. You're looking at games there further down the line against Levante. Maybe they're a home game against Cadiz when we could see Ansu Fati in a Barcelona shirt again. And I just hope here that we are so careful. I do believe this time that Xavi is going to take no risks whatsoever. We don't need to do that right now. And I just hope, above everything else, and with all my heart, that when Ansu does get back, we see him out there for the long term. But of course, guys, from our current number 10 to our former number 10 at Barca, and that still for me sounds very strange to say, but that's why I do want to come on here to the topic of Lionel Messi. Because of course on the channel, I don't get too many opportunities to talk about Messi. It's something that of course I do miss. I'm sure that many of you do feel exactly the same way, but I do want to answer this particular question here because so many people have asked me very similar things here. Because it is being asked right now, with that good form from Barca, that does the departure of Messi actually benefit the team? Because we don't have a star, and now we are building as a collective team that's not really based all around one player. And I think that is, like I say, a very relevant question. And this right here would be my answer to that. Because firstly, I want to say that I think it would be very wrong to assume that Messi, in any way, shape or form, was a problem for Barca. There is no way that we should be falling into that trap here. He was never an issue for the club. Let's get that straight, because I don't think any of us would ever feel that way, because from the beginning of Messi's time at this club to the heartbreaking end, it was beautiful. It was an incredible period for this club that we as fans will never, ever forget. And I would also say as well, just like I would never say that Barca are better off without Messi, I think that would be a wrong thing to say too, but I would also never say that Messi would be better without Barca. Many people, when he left the PSG with all of those star names, were very quick to say, well, Messi is better off without us. I have never shared that opinion. Messi and Barca were always better as one. But what I can understand, though, and what I did say very recently, is the fact that, yeah, Barca right now don't have one star man. We do not have one specific player in that team that every single week you look to and you think, okay, everything is going to go through them. We don't have that player right now. And without that obvious star name, without that obvious key player, we are seeing a more balanced Barcelona team. And I think there's two very good reasons behind that. Number one, you can't forget here, Xavi is our coach now. We don't know what Xavi's Barcelona team would have looked like had Messi been in it. We are seeing here what I feel is the start here of an elite coach going about his business, organising a team, and we are seeing one of the most balanced Barcelona teams in recent times because Xavi is making it so. But I think point number two is the fact that now we don't have Messi, the fact that we don't have that number one star player. What the team have had to do is spread the responsibility. That has made Barca, for me, much less predictable because often you don't really know where the threat is going to come from. Is it going to come down the right? Is it going to come down the middle? Is it going to come down the left? We don't know. Any given week, there could be a new star performer. It was De Jong against Napoli. It was Pedri in the game against Athletic. There are so many key players right now stepping up their game, and that was the one big drawback, I feel, when it comes to Messi at Barca. And I don't put the blame on him because I think whether it's coaches, whether it's players around him, they became too dependent on Lionel Messi. Every single game, they relied upon him to provide something. Whether it was his individual genius, whether it was scoring a goal, whether it was assisting a goal, whether it was picking up the ball, it was always on Messi. That burdened him, it burdened the team, it made us predictable. We were always asking him to rescue us in situations. Because let's face it, had Messi continued at the club, had we continued there to rely on Messi, no doubt he would have rescued us on many occasions this season, and probably we wouldn't even have Xavi right now. We would still be under Ronald Koeman because Messi would have allowed us to just get by, to rescue us when needed, so that coaches like Ronald Koeman could cling onto their jobs. But I think now, you're looking at a team and a really impressive coach who know that they need to take on responsibility. They know that nobody is going to bail them out. We've got a young, a hungry, a motivated team who realise they've got to step up. They are the ones now that have to do it. Nobody's going to drag us out of trouble. Every single player in this Barcelona team, they've got to work hard. They've got to follow the instructions of their coach. And that is the way it should be. So indeed, guys, those right there are some of your questions that I wanted to answer today, because often, in amongst games, in amongst all of this high-pressured Barcelona calendar, sometimes we don't get the time and the opportunity to talk about some of these things. Just thought I'd take that today and discuss some of these important topics, and very interesting ones too. And I want to know your thoughts there on that Barca without Messi situation, the way the team has become more balanced, and exactly how you are seeing this new Barca team under Xavi right now. Please do let me know all of those thoughts down below, and of course your thoughts on Ansu Fati, and hopefully, like I say, when he returns, we can see him out there, week in, week out. I will see you tomorrow, guys, for all of the build-up to what I'm really, really looking forward to. It's Elche against Barca. We are back in action soon. I'll see you then, and I thank you indeed for watching. But until next time, as always, Visca El Barça.